stuff, and Lexi says, "Woo, I know how to do this." Yes, you all do. Remember the words substitution and elimination? That's what you're doing. Okay? So let's review that and give you a chance to practice. Now, in the real world, like out there in the real world, when you have to solve a system, nobody is going to say you have to use substitution or you have to use elimination. I'm the math teacher, so I'm going to tell you. I want to see you do both ways. But in the real world, you will get to pick. So you'll get a favorite. I have a favorite, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. All right, so here's our first system. And our job is to figure out where that line crosses that line. Does everybody recognize that I could rewrite that equation as y equals mx plus b?
Yes.
So it's a line, this is a line, somewhere they cross. That's what I'm looking for. That point is going to be my answer. Okay? Now the directions say use substitution. Who can remind me how that works? Substitution. Sam?
So you solve for like x by itself, and then you plug it in for whatever x is multiplied.
Now, you're exactly right. Perfect. Does everybody understand why Sam suggested getting x by itself and not y? Because x is already kind of by itself, right? If you try to get y by itself, wouldn't you have to do a division and have fractions, and that would be hideous? So let's just get this x by itself. So x equals what? What will x equal? Negative 2y plus 4. Or if you said 4 minus 2y, same thing. Same thing, doesn't matter. Now, we're going to take that guy right there. And he is going to get plugged into this spot. Because x is that. So we're going to put it right here. So we have 2, negative 2y plus 4, minus y equals 3. This is what x equals. So it got plugged in right there. This is the x now. Does everybody see that? All right, let's solve. Here we go, distributive. Negative 4y, what's it? Plus 8? What's negative 4y minus y? Good. Now what? Subtract the 8. So we have negative 5y equals what? Negative 5. So y equals 1. Everybody okay? Now you're not done. Remember, you're looking for a point. You know the y coordinate is 1. You figured that out. Y is 1. How are we going to find x? Plug in. And here's the good news. It doesn't matter where you plug it in. Plug it in wherever it flips your switch. I might plug it in right here. So x equals negative 2 times 1 plus 4. What is that? I plugged it in right here. Negative 2 times 1 plus 4. What would that be? 2? So the answer...
Is that one?
Yeah, you can put it anywhere.
Okay, sorry.
You can put it up here in the original. Put it in this one. I put it here. But you can put it anywhere you want. So 2 comma 1? Everybody okay with that? All right, look at number 3. It is another substitution problem. But I got a little wild and crazy because there's a square in this one. Don't fear. Doesn't matter. We're using substitution. So what are we going to do with this x plus 1 right here? Plug it in for y. That is exactly right. So what will that top equation look like now? X
Isn't it x plus 1 and x plus 1? In
plus
parentheses?
x plus 1 squared equals 5?
Yeah, I was gonna just say. Won't we have to write them out though? Am I right?
Oh yeah, we're not done yet.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we're not done. This is just the beginning. Are you okay with this? Now, what are you going to do here? I'll give you a hint. It starts with an F. Foil. You must foil. Do not square and square. You must foil. So here we go. Let's foil. Tell me what you get when you foil. X squared. Plus x plus 1. I'll write it out. It is 2x, Julian, but I'll go ahead and write it out. Check the foil. You all right with that? Okay. So let's clean it up. What have I got? X squared. Okay, what?
Plus 3x.
Plus 3x
Plus 1.
plus 1 equals 5? Oh boy. John,
Take it like an x out of x.
that's a thought, but probably not the best thought.
Couldn't you just subtract the 5 and then do quadratic formula?
Oh, listen to PJ. I don't say that very often, but listen to that. He says subtract the 5. In other words, get your equation equal to 0. Now, he said use the quadratic formula. Could we? Yep. Are there any other options?
It's the easiest.
If you want to factor it, if you're good at factoring and you can see that it factors, you can factor it. If you don't see that it factors, then use the quadratic formula. This one does factor, but again, nobody cares how you do it. If the formula works for you, use the formula. This one does factor x plus 4x minus 1. So what do we have? X equals negative 4 or x equals 1. Now, we've done a lot of work here. It started over there. And we are all excited. We are not done though. Because remember, what are your answers supposed to look like? Points. This time there's 2 of them. You have an x coordinate of negative 4. This is x. I don't know what y is. I have an x coordinate of 1. I don't know what y is. Everybody with me? We are not done. Okay, so what do? Let's come back over here. What do we know about y? It's equal to x plus 1. So if x is negative 4, then it'd be negative 3. But if x is 1, it's 2. And there are your answers. We knew what our x's were. Our problem told us that y is x plus 1. So if we know what x is, we just add 1, and that gives us what?
We can just go back and plug the x's into the original equation, right?
You can plug them in anywhere, but this would be easiest, yes, to go right here. Everybody good? All right, there's one more substitution. Let's try it. Number 6. Oops. Now, we have to use substitution, okay? So what's your thought? Anybody have a thought?
Just add line.
What?
Just add line.
Add y over, so x equals 4 plus y? That sounds good to me.
We didn't plug it in.
Well, wait a minute, let me catch up to you. So I'm plugging it in. I'm plugging it in right here. Does everybody catch that? Okay. So 2y minus 2 times 4 plus y equals 3. Everybody good? All right, so let's distribute. Be careful. 2y minus 8 minus 2y equals 3. Oh, shoot it, Judy. You got a problem? What does this equation say? Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Does negative 8 equal 3? No. All right, let's go back to the beginning. This was a line, and this was a line. We were looking for where they cross each other. They don't cross. If we have 2 lines out there that don't cross, what do we have? Parallel lines. And how did we know they didn't cross? We got an equation that made no sense. Totally wrong.
They all didn't make any sense.
Everybody okay? Trey, you with us?
Yes.
Good. All right, let's try number 2 now. The directions say use elimination. So we have a new set of directions. Who can tell me how this works? Anybody remember? Julian?
So like one of the you take the y on the bottom one and multiply the equation by 3 so you can cancel it.
Okay, wait a second. Let me catch up. He says we're going to take this equation and multiply it by 3.
Negative 3.
He says positive 3.
Negative. Right.
Let's look and see what happens. Our top equation stays the same. What would this equation become? 15x plus 3y equals 72. Why in the world did we do that?
Yeah.
So that we can add these together. I've referred to this as elimination, but sometimes it's called the addition method because we are adding. And the purpose of the adding is to make the y's disappear. If you didn't know before, do you understand now why he times by 3? So we have 17x equal to 85.
We give you 5.
So x equals 5. Are we done? No, we're never done until we have a point.
Y.
Yes, so we need the y. So I'm just gonna go back.
Can you plug it into the 17x equals 85? Would you be able to?
No, because there's no y there.
Yeah, my bad.
I need an equation with a y in it. So I'm gonna go back to one of these. Does not matter which one. This one looks easier to me, so I'm gonna use the bottom one. But you can use whatever one you want, it makes no difference. If I put 5 in, I'm gonna have 25 plus y equals 24. If I put 5 in right there. So it looks like y equals -1. Everybody remembering this? Coming back to you? Next one is 4. Oh my, look at this. Oh my. Don't be afraid.
Can we just multiply the bottom by 3?
Yeah, you sure can. So here's the top one. And we're gonna multiply the bottom one by 3. By the way, this is gonna work, right? But are there other options? What if we multiplied the top one by -2? And get rid of the x's, right? You don't always have to get rid of the y's. Get rid of whatever you want. Doesn't matter. So let's see. This will be 6x squared, 3y squared, and 18. Did I do that right? Moses, what happened?
And the 3y squares cancel.
They do indeed. So what am I left with?
5x squared.
Well, watch this. These are added.
But,
We're adding.
7x squared.
7x squared.
Minus 7. I mean 7.
7.
So x squared equals 1.
So x squared equals 1.
X equals 1.
Be very careful. If x squared equals 1, what does x equal? The square root of 1, which is what? Plus or minus? Plus or minus 1. So we are going to get 2 answers again. One has an x value of positive 1, and one has an x value of negative 1. Alright, so I'm going to go back to this equation again. Does it matter which one I go to? I'm going to go this one. And I'm going to put in 1. So if I put in 1, I get 2 plus y squared equals 6. I put in 1. 1 squared is 1. So y squared equals 4. Y equals plus or minus 2. So when I put in 1, I got plus or minus 2. Now what? The negative 1. Will I get exactly the same thing when I put in negative 1? What's negative 1 squared?
1.
1. Not that you need to know this, but this is one of those weird situations where we have a hyperbola and an ellipse, and they are actually intersecting in how many points? 4. 4 points. 1, 2, 1, negative 2, negative 1, 2, negative 1, negative 2. 4 points of intersection. All right, one more, and then we'll be ready to practice one and be done.
On the test, would we have to give both those answers?
You have to give all the possible answers. You don't have to draw a picture like this.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. But this one's tricky because we have to use elimination, and it's not set up right. Do you see that? So you want to get it organized first. Things they're not lined up right. So what would you suggest I do to kind of get it lined up right?
Split the bottom one.
Add the 6y. So here's my top equation. And here will be my bottom equation if I move this guy over here.
Divide everything by 2.
Savannah says I can divide everything by 2. Okay, let me keep track of this.
Makes you cross out everything. Or no, that doesn't matter.
Well, now wait a minute, PJ, you may be onto something.
Multiply the bottom by negative 1.
If we multiply the bottom one by negative 1, okay, everything by negative 1.
Aren't they just the same way?
Does that give you parallel lines?
Let's see what it gives me. It's going to be a little bit different. Get this out of here. What happens when I add these? On this side, I get 0. Everything cancels, right? So I have 0. What do I get over here? Now wait a minute. That's different than what happened before. What happened before was we got something like 3 equals 8 or something like that. That's wrong. What about this?
Does it mean they're on top of each other?
It means they're on top of each other. It means these are the same one. If you were like in tune here, you probably saw that back here when after Savannah divided by 2, the 2 equations looked exactly the same. So if you drew this picture, you'd have a line and you'd have a line right on top of it. They don't cross, they are the same line. So what does this kind of an answer mean? If that ever happens to you, that means parallel lines. That means they don't cross, they don't touch each other, they're completely separate. If you get an answer like this, they're the same. Anybody have a question about that? All right, I want to give you one to practice of each kind. So, if you have room on your note sheets, fine. If you need to get out another sheet of paper, get out another sheet of paper. But I want everybody practicing these. We'll get them on the board, and then we'll be done for the day, okay? this one substitution. Thank you. Yeah, this one's elimination. And when you feel confident in one or the other, you can come up and put it on the board for us.
I'm just waiting for you to start
Oh,
stand up.
God, like, I hope you get it wrong.
Now I'm nervous.
I know, it's all pressure.
Oh, we're done already? Franny, you okay with the first one? Did you get 2-1 as your answer?
Yeah, I was looking there.
Okay. How about the rest of you? Everybody good on 2-1 substitution here? No issues. So if you walked in tomorrow and I said, take out a half sheet of paper, and I gave you that problem, you could do it.
It was 2.
What about this one? Elimination. Multiply this one by 4.
Not agree with it.
3, 4. Everybody good? All right, let's get started on our homework then. 7.1. You do not have to do any graphing. So 16 says something about a graph. Don't worry about it, just do the problem. 7.1, there it is, right there. Let's get started. You've got a few minutes. You can crank out some of these. And I dropped a hint. Everybody caught that, right?
Yeah, when
That
I
sheet
was
paper? Yeah? Okay, everybody caught it.